Scarcely manageable, Parmenides, this task you describe. And besides, I don't quite understand, he said. To help me understand more fully, why don't you hypothesize something and go through the exercise for me yourself? For a man my age, that's a big assignment, Socrates, he said. Well then, said Socrates, you, Zeno, why don't you go through it for us? And Antiphon said that Zeno laughed and said, Let's beg Parmenides to do it himself, Socrates. What he's proposing won't be easy, I'm afraid. Or don't you recognise what a big assignment it is? Indeed, if there were more of us here, it wouldn't be right to ask him. Ordinary people don't know that without his comprehensive and circuitous treatment we cannot hit upon the truth and gain insight. And so, Parmenides, I join with Socrates in begging you, so that I too may become your pupil again after all this time. When Zeno had finished speaking, Antiphon said that Pythagoras said that he too, along with Aristotle and the others, begged Parmenides not to refuse, but to give a demonstration of what he was recommending. In the end, Parmenides said, I am obliged to go along with you, and yet I feel like the horse in the poem of Ibycus. Ibycus compares himself to a horse, champion but no longer young, on the point of drawing a chariot in a race and trembling. But what experience tells him is about to happen, and says that he himself, old man that he is being forced against his will to compete in love's game. I too, when I think back, feel a good deal of anxiety as to how at my age I am to make my way across such a vast and formidable sea of words. Even so, I'll do it, since it is right for me to oblige you, and besides we are, as Zeno says, by ourselves. Well then, at what point shall we start? What shall we hypothesize first? I know, since we have in fact decided to play this strenuous game, is it all right with you if I begin with myself and my own hypothesis? Shall I hypothesize about the one itself, and consider what the consequences must be if it is one or if it is not one? By all means, said Zeno. Then who will answer my questions, he said. The youngest surely, for he would give the least trouble and would be the most likely to say what he thinks. At the same time his answer would allow me a breathing space. I am ready to play this role for you, Parmenides, Aristotle said, because you mean me when you say the youngest. Ask away, you can count on me to answer. Very good, he said. If it is one, the one would not be many, would it? No, how could it? Then there cannot be a part of it, nor can it be a whole. Why? Part is surely part of a whole. Yes, but what is the whole? Wouldn't that from which no part is missing be a whole? Certainly. In both cases, then, the one would be composed of parts, both if it is a whole and if it has parts, necessarily. So in both cases the one would thus be many rather than one. True. Yet it must not be many but one. It must. Therefore, if the one is to be one, it will neither be a whole nor have parts. No, it won't. Well then, if it doesn't have a part, it could have neither a beginning nor an end nor a middle, for those would in fact be parts of it. That's right. Furthermore, end and beginning are limits of each thing. Doubtless. So the one is unlimited if it has neither beginning nor end. Unlimited. So it is also without shape, for it partakes of neither round nor straight. How so? Round is surely that whose extremities are equidistant in every direction from the middle. Yes. Furthermore, straight is that whose middle stands in the way of the two extremities. Just so. So the one would have parts and be many if it partook of either a straight or a curved shape. Of course. Therefore it is neither straight nor curved, since in fact it doesn't have parts. That's right. Furthermore, being like that, it would be nowhere, because it could be neither in another nor in itself. How is that? If it were in another, it would surely be contained all around by the thing it was in, and would touch it in many places with many parts. But since it is one and without parts, and does not partake of circularity, it cannot possibly touch in many places all around. It can't. Yet, on the other hand, if it were in itself, its container would be none other than itself. If in fact it were in itself, for a thing can't be in something that doesn't contain it. No, it can't. So, The container itself would be one thing, and the thing contains something else, since the same thing will not, as a whole, at any rate, undergo and do both at once. And in that case, the one would be no longer one, but two. Yes, you're quite right. Therefore, the one is not anywhere, if it is neither in itself nor in another. It isn't. Then consider whether, since it is as we have said, it can be at rest or in motion. Yes, why not? Because if it moves, it would either move spatially or be altered, since these are the only motions. Yes? But the one surely can't be altered from itself and still be one. It can't. Then it doesn't move by alteration, at least, apparently not, but by moving spatially, perhaps. And if the one moves spatially, it surely would either spin in a circle in the same location or change from one place to another, necessarily. Well then, if it spins in a circle, it must be poised on its middle and have parts of itself that move round the middle. But how will a thing that has nothing to do with middle or parts manage to be moved in a circle round its middle? Not at all. But by changing places, does it come to be here at one time, there at another, and move in this way? If in fact it moves at all, wasn't it shown that it cannot be anywhere in anything? Yes. Then is it not even more impossible for it to come to be? I don't see why. If something comes to be in something, isn't it necessary that it not yet be in that thing, since it is still coming to be in it, and that it no longer be entirely outside it, if in fact it is already coming to be in it? Necessarily. So if anything is to undergo this, only that which has parts could do so, because some of it would already be in that thing, while some, at the same time, would be outside. But a thing that doesn't have parts will not by any means be able to be, at the same time, neither wholly inside nor wholly outside something. True. But isn't it much more impossible still for a thing that has no parts and is not a whole to come to be in something somewhere, if it does so neither part by part nor as a whole? Apparently. Therefore, it doesn't change places by going somewhere and coming to be in something, nor does it move by spinning in the same location or by being altered. It seems not. The one, therefore, is unmoved by every sort of motion. Unmoved. Yet, on the other hand, we also say that it cannot be in anything. Yes, we do. Then it is also never in the same thing. Why? Because it would then be in that same thing it is in. Of course. But it was impossible for it to be either in itself or in another. Yes, you're quite right. So the one is never in the same thing. It seems not. But what is never in the same thing neither enjoys repose nor is at rest. No, it cannot. Therefore the one, as it seems, is neither at rest nor in motion. It certainly does appear not. Furthermore, it won't be the same as another thing or itself, nor, again, could it be different from itself or another thing. Why is that? If it were different from itself, it would surely be different from one, and would not be one. True. On the other hand, if it were the same as another, it would be that thing, and not itself. So in this way, too, it would not be just what it is, one, but would be different from one. Yes, you're quite right. Therefore, it won't be the same as another or different from itself. No, it won't. And it won't be different from another as long as it is one, for it is not proper to one to be different from something, but proper to different from another alone and to nothing else. That's right. Therefore, it won't be different by being one. Or do you think it will? No, indeed. Yet, if it isn't different by being one, it will not be so by itself. And if it isn't so by itself, it will not itself be so. And if it is itself in no way different, it will be different from nothing. That's right. Nor will it be the same as itself. Why not? The nature of the one is not, of course, also that of the same. Why? Because it is not the case that whenever a thing comes to be the same as something, it comes to be one. But why? If it comes to be the same as the many, it must come to be many, not one. True. If the one and the same in no way differ, whenever something came to be the same, it would always come to be one. And whenever it came to be one, it would always come to be the same. Certainly. Therefore, if the one is to be the same as itself, it won't be one with itself, and thus it will be one and not one. This surely is impossible. Therefore, the one can't be either different from another or the same as itself. It can't. Thus the one could neither be different from nor the same as itself or another. Yes, you're quite right. Furthermore, it will be neither like nor unlike anything, either itself or another. Why not? Because whatever has a property the same is surely like. Yes. But it was shown that the same is separate in its nature from the one. Yes, it was. If the one has any property apart from being one, it would be more than one, and that is impossible. Yes, therefore the one can in no way have a property the same as another or itself. Apparently not. So it cannot be like another or itself either. It seems not. Nor does the one have the property of being different, for in this way too it would be more than one. Yes, it would be more. Surely that which has a property different from itself or another would be unlike itself or another. In fact, what has a property the same is like. That's right. But the one, as it seems, since it in no way has a property different, is in no way unlike itself or another thing. Yes, you're quite right. Therefore the one could be neither like nor unlike another or itself. Apparently not. Furthermore, being like that, it will be neither equal nor unequal to itself or another. How? If it is equal, it will be of the same measures as that to which it is equal. Yes. Surely, if it is greater or less, it will, in the case of things with which it is commensurate, have more measures than those that are less, and fewer than those that are greater. Yes. And in the case of things with which it is not commensurate, it will be of smaller measures in the one case, and of larger measures in the other. No doubt. Well, if a thing doesn't partake of the same, it can't be of the same measures, or of the same anything else at all, can it? It can't. So it couldn't be equal to itself or another if it is not of the same measures. It certainly appears not. Yet, if it is, on the other hand, of more measures or fewer, it would have as many parts as measures, and thus again it would be no longer one, just as many as are its measures. That's right. And if it were of one measure, it would prove to be equal to its measure. But it was shown that it couldn't be equal to anything. Yes, it was. Therefore, since it doesn't partake of one measure, or many, or few, and since it doesn't partake of the same at all, it will, as it seems, never be equal to itself or another, nor again will it be greater or less than itself or another. That's absolutely so. What about this? Do you think that the one can be older or younger than, or the same age as anything? Yes, why not? Because, if it is the same age as itself or another, it will surely partake of likeness, and of equality of time, of which, likeness and equality, we said the one has no share. Yes, we did say that. And we also said that it does not partake of unlikeness and inequality. Of course. Then, being like that, how will it be able to be older or younger than, or the same age as anything? In no way. Therefore, the one could not be younger or older than, or the same age as, itself or another. So, if it is like that, the one could not even be in time at all, could it? Or isn't it necessary, if something is in time, that it always comes to be older than itself? Necessarily. Isn't the older always older than the younger? To be sure. Therefore, that which comes to be older than itself comes to be, at the same time, younger than itself. If in fact it is to have something it comes to be older than. What do you mean? I mean this. There is no need for a thing to come to be different from a thing that is already different. It must rather already be different from what is already different, have come to be different from what has come to be different, and be going to be different from what is going to be different. It must not have come to be going to be, or be different from what comes to be different. It must come to be different, and nothing else. Yes, that's necessary. Surely older is a difference from younger and from nothing else. Yes, it is. So that which comes to be older than itself must also at the same time come to be younger than itself. So it seems. But it must also not come to be for more or less time than itself. it must come to be and have come to be and be going to be for a time equal to itself. Yes, that too is necessary. Therefore it is necessary, as it seems, that each thing that is in time and partakes of time be the same age as itself, and at the same time come to be both older and younger than itself. It looks that way. But the one surely had no share of any of that. No, it didn't. Therefore it has no share of time, nor is it in any time. It certainly isn't, as the argument proves. Now don't you think that was and has become to be and was coming to be signify partaking of time past? By all means. And again that will be and will come to be and will be coming to be signify partaking of time hereafter? Yes. And that is and comes to be signify partaking of time present now? Of course. Therefore, if the one partakes of no time at all, and is not the case that it has at one time come to be, was coming to be, or was, or has now come to be, comes to be, or is, or will hereafter come to be, or will be coming to be, or will be, very true. Could something partake of being except in one of these ways? It couldn't. Therefore, the one in no way partakes of being. It seems not. Therefore, the one in no way is. Apparently not. Therefore, neither is it in such a way as to be one, because it would then, by being and partaking of being, be. But, as it seems, the one neither is one nor is, if we are obliged to trust this argument. It looks that way. If something is not, could anything belong to this thing that is not, or be of it? How could it? Therefore no name belongs to it, nor is there an account or any knowledge or perception or opinion of it. Apparently not. Therefore it is not named or spoken of, nor is it the object of opinion or knowledge, nor does anything that is perceive it. It seems not. Is it possible that these things are so for the one? I certainly don't think so.